Hey everybody, I'm Kelly Ellers,
I'm Jeffrey Lonan.
and this is Volume Up by the Teas. So, Jeffrey, I'm still recovering from our interview last week. I mean, the Tabitha coffee.
It doesn't get better than that. I mean, it does, as it turns out, because we've got incredible guests, but Tabitha, it's Tabitha. Bravo Celebrity extraordinaire. I'm just going to keep saying Bravo Celebrity
I
because I
know
think it's a funny word.
she liked it. Did you make that up? I
No,
think
no, no. Of
no.
course not.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure that she liked it either, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. She said, and I didn't know if that, based on her accent, was like a good or not. So, all right, you read the room
Anybody's
better than
guess.
I did. All right.
Or worse, depending. But yeah, no, incredible talk. And yeah, let's everybody give some love to Tabitha. If you're not already following her, make sure to go over to her feed and see what she's up to with the Back and Stout campaign.
Love it.
If you liked our interview with Tabitha, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Read the Teas. And send us questions to volumeup@theteas.com. On today's episode, we got to interview Hannah Diop, co-founder of Sienna Naturals, a naturally derived ingredient-focused hair care brand for textured hair. Another celebrity-adjacent guest, recently, actress, writer, producer, director Issa Rae came on as a co-founder. I was so lucky to talk with Hannah about all of the things, how she got started in beauty, and definitely what's in store for the brand. So you guys are not going to want to miss this interview.
Have you checked the mailbox today?
Not today.
No, not
but
the
I'll get to it.
mailbox. Oh, that's the inbox.
You know that you're sending us emails and we're reading them, darn it. So
We're reading
keep them
them.
up.
Yeah, don't send them to the mailbox. Speaking of, this is funny, like an interpretation of the mail system from my 8-year-old. He sent a thank you letter to Nani in Florida saying thanks for the gifts. So he wrote the letter, put the letter in the mailbox, called her an hour later and said, "Did you get the letter?" I know, pretty cute, huh? I was like, "Hey, Hud, it's gonna take a couple days, maybe a couple weeks with what we're dealing with."
I was gonna say, let's be on the safe side, but that's good. Good for him to think that it would be that fast.
Literally, he major props to the U.S. Postal Service from Hudson
for giving that impression that despite it all, they could do it that quickly. That's beautiful.
It is.
I went to the post office around the holidays to send stuff,
Ooh.
and I was prepared for the absolute worst, but things actually wound up getting there like pretty much on time. So, it's a crapshoot. What can you do?
I think that's good because remember, I was like, "Hey, check your mailbox for your gift," and then I looked at the site and said it's not shipping until mid-February.
Oh, that was like what we did for my in-laws. My wife and I found like the perfect gift, TM. And turns out that everybody else thought it was the same thing. And so they over allowed orders or something. So basically they canceled our thing when it was like way too late and then sent us a long email and then a voicemail. And then they gave us a refund and then they gave us a gift credit. But like,
No, you wanted the gift. Like you didn't
Right.
want the credit or the refund. You wanted the gift
No.
to the in-laws. Yeah, that's not good.
Yep. What can you do?
Here we
2021.
are. Yeah. Oh, we only have 11 more months of saying, "Oh, just 2021."
We thought it was over.
It's not.
It's the new year. We are devoid of any real time structure with the chaos that we're all experiencing.
Indeed.
And we're just trying to, grasp at what we can. And I, for one, am grasping at something, which is fitness. For 2021, I got a Peloton, I think is how they say it on the stupid app.
Oh, Peloton.
Yeah, Peloton.
Do they scream it at you? Like, "Hey, Pelotons." I should know, I guess. I don't hear that, but
good for you.
I don't pay attention.
Tune it out. Tune them out. That's the key to success on that bike. But you and I share something, which is
yeah.
which is anxiety around clipping in and
impossible.
Clipping out.
It is like, coming from someone who broke their ankles. Oh, this is a deep secret.
Wow. Comes out.
I broke my ankle doing middle school hurdles, like the 400. And my mom being like, "You're going to get up and keep going." I was broken around the last stretch. My mom comes from the bleachers and said, "Get up, Kel." It's one of those you
Ooh,
can't undo. And mom, I know you're listening, so it's still with me at 41. Yeah.
all these
So
years later.
that is why I am hesitant to clip in to the Peloton because I think of the worst case scenario. It's hard to clip out,
Yeah, well, so that's really good context for why you
right? I
have
mean, thank you.
anxiety. I've got zero reason, but I can't get my I can't get them out. I mean, I do ultimately, I
Yeah.
succeed, but
Mm-hmm.
after like too many
Mm-hmm.
attempts to squeeze and pop off, and so yeah, consequently, I don't like doing it at all.
Do you wait for your wife to be home just in case you got stuck?
Full disclosure, we only do it while each other are
Okay.
home. And
Mm-hmm.
it's probably a function of that if you like
Mm-hmm.
really want to peel it back because I could imagine myself being stuck and that would be pretty bad.
If you ever find yourself stuck, will you please take a photo?
I sure will. I remember even the class or like the little video, the 101 that they tell
Oh
you about
yeah,
how to
I've
do
watched
it.
it a million
I,
times.
and I still would be like push and I
And
can't,
put your
but I
heel
can.
down and twist
Yep.
out. Then I go, uh-oh, broken ankle. Here we go. Yeah. Anyway, it's dark. Find the bad in everything. Like
That's the
the
lesson,
beautiful
really.
Peloton bike that we are blessed with, but
Hmm.
we got our
Hmm.
problems. What are you watching right now? Anything outside the usual hot topics on the flicks, the
Um,
Netflix?
so I'm really into HBO Max
Oh,
Search
okay.
Party. Didn't realize that it was there. Apparently it was TBS. Now it's on HBO Max. So that's something that I'm into. I'm
Okay.
also on the flicks, very interested in uh Pretend It's a City, which is the Martin Scorsese,
Wait.
Fran Lebowitz
That's
thing.
in my notes. That's in my notes to talk about. I'm on like episode 2 and I find so much joy in her, although I'm pretty sure we're polar opposites in every sense of the like you catch me. I mean, I love myself a blazer, don't get me wrong, but if I am in jeans and cowboy boots strolling down in Manhattan, I've fallen off the deep end.
You- I mean, it works for Fran. I
It
feel like
totally works for her.
it's a look. It's her look. If you did that, yeah,
Signature.
I'd be concerned for you.
Yeah,
Um,
send
my
someone.
favorite is how often she says, in other words. Like she'll say
Oh,
some sort of declaratory statement and then she'll say,
yeah.
like, in other words, and then she'll say something else that's related. But it's like a little tick that I find
Huh.
fascinating.
All right, now I'm going to listen to that because I actually just started watching last night.
It's very
And
good.
I love that Scorsese interviews her and he's just beside himself with laughter and joy. Beside himself.
I mean, it's wholesome, pure
It
content
is.
for 2021. It's what we needed, honestly.
We
It makes me want to
totally
go to
did.
New York, which I obviously cannot do, which is
Right.
a bummer. But yeah, love it.
How many faux pas things have you done at New York that absolutely irritate the shit out of her?
Probably everything. I mean, I'm the one that's on my phone. I'm the one that's walking into people. I'm
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
get into it. Pretend it's a city. Speaking of the news, there's
Mm-hmm.
lots happening on thetease.com. Our editorial team, as always, has been very hard at work uncovering all of the latest things that are happening in the industry, diving into brands that you should know, you don't know, maybe,
Yeah.
but you
You
should
should.
definitely
Mhm.
know. And here are our favorite headlines from thetease.com this week. Kelly, what are
Yeah.
you liking?
Okay, one of my all-time favorite salons in and salon owners is the Harlot Salon with Morel Kochen, the oh so famous, well-known, total badass personality for days. Morel has been a staple in our industry for so long, and we did a little tour. We swung around, took a little look at the salon on the Tease Tours, which is a really cool new segment that we're doing. So, back to that, send us some mail in our inbox. If you want your salon featured, check it out there. So her whole mantra is where upscale meets naughty, and it's a provocative space and
Mhm.
so well designed. So sending
It's
you much love,
beautiful.
Morel. Yeah.
Something that I'm really into on the site is something we've talked about before, which is Bridgerton. One
Mm-hmm.
of our editors wrote this whole piece about the meanings behind Queen Charlotte's wigs, which is actually kind of fascinating. It's not kind of, it is fascinating. There's so much to sort of unpack. And Camille does so really artfully. Went into Adam James Phillips, who's one of the
Mm.
hairstylists' Instagram, got all of the deets on all of these looks, and just documented everything. And I found it to be a really interesting read. So If you liked Bridgerton, you might want to check out that article.
I love it. I like how her wigs were like, I think in the last season, which I watched, or the last episode, which I watched 3 times, it was too much for me to digest just once. Her whole wig was made of like white bows. Like, I don't know. It was amazing. So I
Yeah,
can't
no,
imagine the
the
time it took.
artistry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it like, and again, the article goes into a lot of detail, which you should definitely check out. So ornate, and
I
the
know.
thinking behind and the inspiration. I mean, it's incredible. Love that, and you guys will too.
It makes the show like those details and our awesome professionals behind the scenes, like
Hmm.
hitting the hair on the mark, the makeup, the grooming, it's pretty fantastic. So kudos to everyone who worked on Bridgerton. My next one up is Color Space. I love the team. I'm so much love today over at Color Space. Ray Civello and his team and Lupe Voss officially launched Color Space. We've talked about it for about a month, kind of preceding it, but they are hair color masters, and they, after being involved with many high profile brands, owning salons, educating across the world, they're doing it themselves now, and it's just great. I love to see people make that leap. And finally for me, there's a really, really cool brand that's making an entrance into the pro space. It's called Lange, L'Ange, if you're looking for the spelling. And they're saying, hey, pros, you know what? We're going to support you. And they're really taking that support a couple layers deeper. So if you utilize the hashtag Lange supports stylists on Instagram, they're taking a look at those images, curating them down and be like, these are awesome. They're actually going to put paid advertising dollars to support you in your local market for awareness. So again, Lange supports stylists. It'll be in the show notes, but kudos to them. Happy to support them here on the Tease.
As always, so much going on. Thank you to our hardworking editors on thetease.com. We are proud to publish the stories that salon pros and consumers care about. Kelly, I cannot wait for you to hear this interview with Hannah Diop of Sienna Naturals. She's got so much going on with the brand. The Issa Rae connection is a new
Ooh,
angle. Yeah.
wow.
Multi-hyphenate extraordinaire who recently
Yes.
just announced that the 5th season of Insecure is going to be the last one. So that
Oh,
happens between
okay.
talking to her and but an incredible lady who built the business from scratch, is super, super dedicated to natural ingredients for textured hair, all about scalp care. We had a really interesting conversation, and I think that you guys are going to love it. So can't wait. Tell us what you think after. Hi, Hannah. Thank you so much for being with us on the Volume Up podcast. Crazy times for our country and for the industry. For me, this is a little break from my Twitter feed and from my thumbs. That said, our editors are absolutely obsessed with Sienna Naturals. We've covered you a couple of times. We know that our listeners are going to be thrilled. Clean care for textured hair that works. Let's get started.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for covering Sienna Naturals. I love to hear that you guys are excited about what we're doing.
We're thrilled. Hannah, for those who may not know about you or your brand, how the heck did you get started in beauty?
I always say that Sienna Naturals has been with me since I was a child. I mean, I truly feel like I'm sort of manifesting some inner child dream with this brand, but I also feel called to it in a way where, I can't ignore it and I have to do it. So, I kind of always have to start with my story growing up as a kid. And I grew up in a very naturally inclined family. So what that means is, like, I think compared to most people, it was pretty extreme. Like I had a lot of allergies and sensitivities. So in addition to a Western doctor, I also went to a naturopath, and I had remedies and tinctures that I would take. I also had acupuncture. I received massage therapy. I went to a chiropractor, and we were members of community supported agriculture. So we had, a farm where we would volunteer and work and get fresh organic produce around year round. And, my mom's philosophy was really to kind of really take care of what you put in your body and to focus on giving us the most nutrient dense, natural foods. And that naturally extended to our personal care routines and our beauty routines. And so her instinct was, let me go to the co-op, the natural food store, and pick up hair care for the family. So we would go in there, we had our reusable containers, we would go to the pumps and we would start getting our shampoo and conditioner, but then bring it home and realize like I was using, gobs and gobs and gobs of conditioner in my hair and it just wouldn't detangle. So this very early impression on me was that there was something inherently wrong with my hair because they didn't have a shampoo offering for me at the store. So that left a really big impression on me and stuck with me. And then you fast forward to being an adult. My sister became pregnant with my niece and went to the natural food store to buy product. And yet again, was like very disappointed with the offering. And I'm like, wow, this is still an issue. I can't believe this. And so it just became something I wanted to do. And I think for textured hair care in particular, performance is extremely important in a product. And so for a clean product to work, it also has to be effective. It has to perform to our expectations, because if it ends up damaging our hair or making it feel like super dry and brittle, we're not going to keep using it, regardless of how good it is for the environment. So my mission with Sienna Naturals was to really create a wellness product that feels good, that performs in our hair, but is made with clean ingredients, and then also is moving the needle on the health of our hair and scalp while we use it. So really, I think of it as a wellness brand.
So, I mean, you touched on this as the sort of inner child manifesting this brand. How would you describe your relationship with your hair now? Now that you are this brand founder, you are helping all of these other women. Talk to us about what your relationship is like now with hair.
Women and men, I mean, we're helping a lot of people. And I think for me, it's interesting because from high school, I went to college at Howard University and I studied business. And then I worked in business. I did a master's degree in business education. So I kind of developed this toolkit. And, my experience as a woman in corporate America was that if I wore my hair in its natural state, I was going to get attention for my hair. And I didn't really love that. I wanted to get attention for my work. I wanted to get attention for my mind and my smarts. And so I tended to wear my hair straight, heat straightened. I still do wear my hair heat straightened quite a bit, but I also like to wear it natural as it is right now. So I think to me, like I wanted to create a product that would, regardless of what we kind of have to do to our hair to show up in a way where we feel comfortable and feel our best, I wanted to create a product that would help bring it and restore the health of our hair and scalp afterwards so that we can continue to express ourselves however we want. And I think like self-expression can be complicated, right? But I feel like you should always feel empowered to show up the way you feel most authentic and most comfortable. And whether that's, putting on your shield of armor of heat straightening when you go to a corporate job, or wearing your hair naturally curly because that's who you are and you're embracing it. And I think, many industries have come a long way. I sort of started in banking and more traditional industry, but I think like, in the tech world, like natural hair is kind of the norm. So, but I think, my goal was really to make it flexible because I don't want to put a box around anyone or tell anyone. Like, I think the last thing we need as women with textured hair is someone telling us how we should wear our hair or what we should do to it. And so I really wanted to create this freedom with the product that would, I'm here to take care of the hair and scalp health, and you can continue to express yourself however you want to show up in the world, how you feel empowered, and how you feel best and most beautiful. And Sienna Naturals will be here to help, undo the stress of whatever you've done to your hair.
And we could all use a little unstressing, de-stress. Let's all just take a minute for that. That's incredible. I mean, there's nothing more empowering than that message. I mean, the why is beautiful. That's why our editorial team has really been sort of enamored with the brand. But talk to us a little bit about the how. So, I mean, you started in banking and finance. How did we actually create this brand? How did you get into hair? Product development, research, like where did you even start? Talk to us about that.
Have you seen like the 1980s Bette Midler, Lily Tomlin Big Business movie?
I'm a big Lily Tomlin fan. So
okay.
Yes.
So, you
Insider baseball, but yeah.
Hat, you go up, you walk down Fifth Avenue. No, the how is actually, it's really interesting. And I mean, I kind of just got started. That's like the easiest way to describe how I started. But I have a business background. So of course I wrote this massive strategy document. I did a lot of research on the market to understand how big is the market? How fast is it growing? Where should I enter? I want to do clean, but how can I do this in a relevant way? But, honestly, that was me coming from this big corporate mentality. And then it's like, okay, sweetheart, guess what? You're party of one doing this thing, right? Like no one is here for your 80-page deck. Throw that out the window. All right. What are you actually doing? I started with a trade show, with a beauty trade show. There was this big trade show in New York City that would take place every year. And I went to that trade show and I was like, well, this is where the industry comes to work, to find connections and partners. And so I'm going to start here. And I really went there and I just networked for 3 days straight and came away with a full stack of business cards and just started to ask questions, get to know people, understand, how do I build these formulas? I quickly realized that I needed a scientist because I needed product. And I tried to watch YouTube videos and make product on my own. But what I wanted to do differently, because I think, the easiest way to get started in beauty is you go find a contract manufacturer and you white label a product from them. But I wanted to have my products, be special. They had to be clean, but they had to perform for textured hair. And I couldn't find any off the shelf product that did that. So I had to hire an expert. So I started working with a chemist who actually is a African Black woman who's Nigerian, of Nigerian descent. And so, she was really excited to work on this project too, because she's worked for a number of major hair care brands and, textured hair hadn't really been the focal point. So it was really a passion project for both of us. And we would get together Saturday mornings and formulate.
So, but with that, which is incredible in itself, where did you start? Like, which did you know you were going to go to market with? Is it like the detangler, talking about sort of your own upbringing? Like, where did you even begin to sort of think through which product to formulate?
Well, so Sienna Naturals, I started it many years ago. And I actually pivoted the brand, the whole entire purpose of the brand. I really started with this focus on the mother-child relationship, because that was kind of the origins of my beauty story with hair care, right? And so I wanted to create a product that was good for mom. You could use, safe for pregnancy. You could use it on your hair. You could use it on your children's hair. And then I also used to have a body product, a body cream product. So it was kind of like this personal care line. But what I found was like, it was really hard for me to approach the market from this broader standpoint. And over time and through like working, I was selling product. Then I kind of transitioned and I started focusing on just sort of family more generically, but still from a personal care angle. And I used to work in markets in Manhattan. So I would like schlep my suitcase up and down. I would go to Brooklyn and do a market, I did a night market in Brooklyn. That was really fun. And I would sell product and it was a lot of hard work, a lot of weekend work, it's kind of exhausting labor, but the beauty of that was I got to connect in person with all of these customers. And then I would start to see repeat customers. And so we would have more in-depth conversations. And what I came to realize was that my customer, what they loved about Sienna Naturals was that it helped their scalp feel better. It helped their hair feel better. And hair and scalp was such a focus. And there was so much need there. There were so many problems to solve that needed the attention of a clean product regimen that I started to get this concept of like, oh, we need to think about textured hair care like a skincare. It needs its own skincare regimen. And so that's where this idea of really focusing on hair and scalp health and kind of lasering in and kind of being more focused there was born out of. So that's sort of the current iteration of the brand. And then people were like, yes, this is exactly what I need. And then things started to kind of grow from there pretty quickly.
So we're going to get into that snowballing. We talked about this briefly. You sort of addressed that your initial chemist had talked about maybe beauty not necessarily getting textured hair. Historically, there's been an awful lot of othering. Urban, ethnic categories are sort of bandied about. There's not a lot of variety, and certainly clean products for textured hair is very much novel. So how does Sienna Naturals show up for textured hair and for Black women?
When I look at the market and I think about why brands have focused on styling products, the traditional route into the consumer was sell her a styler that will hold her curls in a perfect way, because we as Black women face so much scrutiny, particularly in the workplace, based on how we're perceived, based on our hairstyle, and that amount of that pressure. So, research that went into the Crown Act, 80% of Black women feel pressure to alter their hair from its natural state in order to be successful in the workplace. That really, I think, is an insight into why there hasn't been a clean offering in the past, because the final look and the final outcome and the final style has been paramount, so that the consumer kind of has compromised on everything else, including the health of her hair and scalp to get there. But what happens is, if you're compromising on the health of your hair and scalp while you're achieving these styles, you're going to undermine the health of your hair. You could start losing your hair. Alopecia from styling consequences is the number one cause of hair loss for Black women, particularly around, the very front, the edges area.
Mhm.
And that's from a number of things. It's from, product buildup in the scalp and a lack of sort of clearing and cleaning out the scalp. That's from tension, from wearing weaves, wigs, and extensions. It's from harsh chemicals, from styling products. So that, wanting to show up and understanding that insight that, like, okay, the consumer has driven a lot of this demand for styling products and a lot of that focus. And brands are like, okay, if that's what's most important to her, that's where I'm going to put the emphasis. And I think it was my experience was like, no, we do want clean products, but they have to perform. And, what I see a lot in reviews of my product line, because I don't have any styling products yet, not that I would never make them, but I really wanted to very squarely and clearly start with a treatment focus and a health focus. But I see customers are like, oh, I stopped using my styler. Like, I don't have any styling products in my hair right now. So when you're using products that are building the health of your hair, that are kind of chemically formulated and considering the chemistry of your hair and your hair type, you can make a product that will give you a beautiful hairstyle outcome without using these drying and kind of heavier product ingredients that traditionally go in styling products that can lead to those health consequences.
Speaking of what you just talked about in terms of the ingredients and sort of safety being paramount, so that it's not compromising hair's texture, clean has been thrown around a lot within the beauty space. So what does clean care mean to Sienna Naturals?
Well, so I think, the interesting thing about beauty, and I see this in food too, is there's so much innovation. There's constant innovation, right? So you really have to go ingredient by ingredient, and you want to strike this balance of being innovative, but also doing your homework and being responsible and making sure that the ingredient passes your clean tests. And so, I have a cosmetic chemist who helps me navigate this space. We talk to the chemical companies, we talk to the companies and the suppliers of the ingredients that we use. But also there's the Environmental Working Group, which is a website. And I really look at clean as, I define it as ingredients that are not known to cause any harm. So there's no history of this ingredient causing harm, and also being naturally derived. So it's not derived from a synthetic source or petrochemical source, or mineral oil. And then it also has to be safe for your hair, safe for your skin, your scalp, and your body, and then also safe for the environment. So there are ingredients that might not technically be harmful to the skin, but they are derived from petrochemicals, and therefore they're not good to put down the drain and back into our water system.
How do you then, and the brand by extension, view sustainability? I mean, clean is part of that, but in terms of the sort of generation of waste within beauty and hair in particular, with packaging and shipping and all of that, so what is your take on that component of the business?
Right. So I think it's to be as sustainable as possible and to make it an active goal for the brand. We, right now, all of our bottles are PET category 1 recyclables. That's curbside recyclable. That is actually very rare in the beauty industry, that your packaging can just be thrown into the recycling bin. So that, like, we are actually, I would give us a pretty strong grade on that front. There are components, so our closures are made out of multiple materials. And so those, some of them are category 5, which means you have to drop them off to recycle.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are not recyclable. But when you look at the overall, like right now, I'd say we're pretty great. And it is one of our goals to continue to improve in this space.
Pivoting a little bit. I mean, we talked about this in terms of you doing a lot of research, and probably because of your background, and also not only your business background, but your hair story. That you've done a lot of self-education as regards product safety and effectiveness. What are ways that the industry, sort of hair and beauty generally, can do better in terms of educating itself and consumers about textured hair and care and styling needs?
Yeah, I think this is a great question. And I'm actually going to be speaking on a panel. I'm so honored to get this
Plug
invitation.
it.
Speak on a panel for the New York Society of Cosmetic Chemists. I was like, oh my God, this is like, I just like conventions and nerd out because I love talking to chemists. I love meeting with them, but I am not a chemist. I don't have a chemistry background, but I've learned so much building this brand. And I think, you know, I'm going to go and I'm going to share my story, but I think one message I hope to deliver there is that representation is so important. And so it's not just hiring Black cosmetic chemists to help with the formulation so that they know that they work. I think a lot of brands have traditionally formulated, and you kind of have to understand the consumer and where she is in order to get the formula right. Because if I were to stop heat straightening my hair a year from now, my hair strand is going to be different. So depending on how you style your hair, your stage of life, you need to bring these consumers into your clinical trials and into just the entire sort of structure of how these chemical companies develop products and develop new, I'm calling them chemicals because that's like the technical name, but how they develop these new ingredients. They need to really look at this core audience and bring them into every step of the way, not just saying that you know that this ingredient tends to work for this, so therefore you're going to skip the trial, or the trial is going to be done on a different texture of hair. It's making sure that that representation is throughout the entire process, and really bringing that, I think, the target consumer into your process.
Love that. I think 2020 has taught us that representation is the minimum and brands are needing to catch up. And so we're excited that you're going to be bringing this heavy into 2021. Something that we'd covered on the tease was a breaking news item. Later in 2020, there was a big announcement that, in fact, Sienna Naturals had a co-owner. How in the world did you get in touch with Issa Rae? Like, what?
Yeah. I know. Actually, I've known Issa for many years. And so she has really seen me build the products over time. And I remember, like, I was living in New York and she would come out to New York right when she was sort of starting to sort of do these press circuits, or, you know, do work in New York, or between New York and LA. And whenever she would come, I would give her some product to try. And she'd be like, wow, this product feels so good in my hair. This is amazing. Like, you really have something here. And I was like, oh, thank you. And so she was like, no, seriously, like, like, I want to support, like, how can I be helpful? And I'd be like, okay, can you put it in an Instagram post, or, you know, so she did that. Can you put it on the show? So she put it in the show background a few seasons ago. It's old packaging. You don't have to look for it. And then, you know, she was just like, look, I'm serious. Like, I think you have something here. So a few years later, I got into this Target Takeoff program, which is like Target's accelerator program for indie beauty. Like, my cohort was focused on beauty, but they have different cohorts, but it's really Target's way to help brands develop and get ready to launch in retailers. And at the conclusion of this program, I realized, wow, I've got something here. And I had 2 investors approach me, 2 women, and they were like, this value proposition is really something. And, we think this is viable. Like you should try to fundraise and, and grow this business. And so at that moment, I was like, let me approach Isa and see if she's still interested. And thankfully she was. She's very busy and she has a lot of projects going on. But what we did was we got together, myself, her, some of her team members, and really planned out how we could make this partnership work. Because she, number one, she's a huge supporter of Black creators. And she has an eye for talent, right? What can we say? And she's just phenomenal. I mean, she really is, that like kind of Beyonce effect where you're like, how does she have the same amount of time in the day that I have?
Yep.
She is that person. She is that person. She's super smart and really kind, but also like, kind of very strategic, knows what she wants. And so she came on board and became a co-owner in the business and has really helped steer the ship. She helped weigh in on the redesign of our packaging for the brand. And she helped weigh in on, future products that we're going to be coming out with. And she really
Can you tease anything?
You guys have to stay tuned.
Okay. All right.
But in 2021, we have a lot of exciting things lined up for 2021. So stay tuned. It will be coming. News will be coming. But no, she really gives feedback, and she's not going to greenlight something if she's not into it. And so, we iterate. And so we iterate, and we iterate with her braid schedule. We iterate with her work schedule. But it's really wonderful to have her as a part of this. And I think, she's bringing her audience to a brand. It was really important for me to have Isa as the muse and as the face, because I knew we were cracking into this latent demand for clean products within the textured hair care space. And she's such an icon in terms of textured hair. I mean, all the styles that she has on Insecure. And I think, to be honest, Isa, when she launched, I don't know if you've watched Awkward Black Girl, but that first episode of her web series, Awkward Black Girl, hair politics was at the forefront, right there with like Boss Lady. And she's had a voice in this category already. She's had a strong voice. So I think it's been really wonderful having her as a part of this.
Well, we are so happy for you. We are so happy for her. We are thrilled. We cannot wait for the things that are to come. We know that there's big stuff in store. So make sure that you let us know so that we can let everybody here listening and on the web know about it. All right. This is the time before we wrap where we do quick takes. So we are going to ask you the questions that we ask of all of our guests. We're looking for your hottest, quickest take. Think of it as a wind down, looking for top of mind, nothing to overthink here. So the first thing that we've got, bar soap or body wash?
Body wash.
Nobody's picked bar soap so far, but we feel like there's going to be someone, again, in the sort of clean, sustainable, you should be doing it. I feel guilty about it. Anyway, all right. Let it be known. Body wash.
Right. Well, let's see. A glycerin bar soap is okay. It's just the residue that you get from a bar soap, so maybe that's going to be on my list for Sienna Naturals. Put it on the list.
When you go back into skincare. All right. We'll see what happens. Yeah. All right. Separately from bar soap body wash, a product that you're loving right now, and it can be your own. We will allow you to plug Sienna Naturals.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, honestly, my whole family, we use Sienna Naturals, and I was sold out of the product for so many months that my hair was desperate. Like I love.
You don't have the plug? You don't have the hookup for your own stuff? What's going on?
I could literally make customers, and I didn't have the things to do that. So I am really loving the Do Magic. I put the Do Magic in my hair with some daily elixir, and I am ready. I'm ready for the world.
Okay. All right. What are you streaming? We talked Insecure. We've got a season to come, so you're probably caught up there. What else is on your radar? What are you watching? What are you listening to?
Yes. So I'm really loving the Senegalese crime drama, Sako and Mangane. I honestly don't really know how to pronounce it, but it's very cool. And it has like some elements of witchcraft and some sort of traditional, I guess, folklore from Senegal. So my last name is Diop. My husband's actually half Senegalese. And so we watched the show together, and I love that I get to see Senegal. I haven't actually been to Senegal yet, even though I source a lot of my ingredients from Senegal through fair trade, suppliers. So I love that it gives me this look into, a place that we will go one day, and that, relates back to my children's heritage.
Amazing. Love that. And fingers crossed for travel in 2021, maybe 2022.
Please.
Yep. Please.
Oh
Next, next quick take. Real talk words of advice for someone who wants to get the top of our industry. So beauty, hair, what do you have to say to them?
You have to do something that's authentic, and you have to be solving a real need. I think we're in an age now where the consumer wants to know more about every product that they're using and beyond the product. And I really love this about where the consumer is going, and I hope it continues. Really, who's behind the brand, and why are they behind the brand, and who's making the product, and how are they making the product, and where is it being manufactured? How is it being manufactured? What's the sustainability play? And so I think you have to be solving a real problem. You have to be authentic. Clean is table stakes. Like Sienna Naturals, yes, it is a clean brand, but it's been clean since I started working on this. That's been in its DNA. It's not the why. It's the performance element. It's the impact it has on your hair. It's the problems that I'm solving for my customer. That's what differentiates Sienna Naturals.
Boom. Beautiful. Last thing before we wrap, 2021 predictions for our industry. What do you have to say? 2021
predictions. I think sustainability, it will continue to be paramount. Because I see brands taking it seriously and retailers starting to take it more seriously. I think all the challenges that have been, all the challenges we faced coming out of this kind of pandemic environment and this this geopolitical, local political, race political environment will impact the industry. And I hope to see Black founders represented better across even the general product categories. Because I to tell you the truth, these products are designed for textured hair. I have many customers who love this brand that don't necessarily identify as having textured hair. And the truth is that they're just made better. They're made to work on textured hair. So of course they're going to work on, straight hair. I would love to see Black founders in 2021 just represented across even general product categories.
Hannah, thank you so much for your time today. Before we wrap, where can our listeners find you, and where can they shop Sienna Naturals?
Well, they can find me on siennanaturals.com and the Sienna Naturals Instagram handle. I mean, I don't really fancy myself much of a social influencer type, although I have my profile personally is open right now to the public. I don't know how long I will keep it that way, but I'm trying to take a step out of my comfort zone into the public world because I know that my customer is looking for that connection, or at least she wants to understand more about who's behind the brand. So that's where you can find me, on siennanaturals.com, at Sienna Naturals, on Instagram, Twitter. Sign up for our emails. You'll hear from us. And we're good people. Come check us out. We talk to you. We like to talk to good people.
You heard it here. Smash the follow button, sign up, subscribe, all of those things. Hannah, thank you so much for your time. We really, really appreciate it, especially given all of the craziness of our current moment. Thank you again. Have a good one.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much.
So Jeffrey, what was one thing that stood out from the interview?
I think that the sort of how this all came to be stuck out to me the most. I mean, she talked about a really deep connection, Hannah, that she has with hair and growing up, and sort of natural remedies that were part of her childhood, and really caring about her hair's integrity, and just seeing a lot of white space in the market for someone like her, knowing that there were a million folks that are also interested in these things. Yeah. So I just felt like the thinking behind the brand was so interesting, and just illustrates where we're at in 2021, right? Like the co-founders are so much smarter about coming to market than, brands that are a little bit older, shall we say.
It's thoughtful, it's thoughtful. They're filling a void. It's needed. So check out the show notes for all of her contact information to connect. Be sure to hit subscribe, rate, and review, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Read the Tease, and send in questions to volumeup@thetease.com.
Remember, we're checking. Volume Up is a Tease Media production. This episode was produced by Monica Hickey and Stephen Jabrand. Thank you to our creative team, Kay Reynolds and Haley Hefner, for putting together the graphics for this episode, and to Josh Landowski for editing so that you can watch and listen to us on YouTube.